Welcome! This is Unfolding, the show where I talk to creative business minds. My name is Marco Pfann, and today we are talking to the mother of social media dragons. We are talking to Dot Lung. Today we are here with Dot Lung, the mother of social media dragons, and I really admire Dot for what she has created over the last, a decade already? How long are you in this game already, Dot?
It depends where you want to begin. I guess my freelance career started when I moved to Spain in 2011. So it's been 12 years now that I've been freelancing, doing different gigs and working all around the world. But if you ask about when I started social media, well, that must have been before Facebook. It started on MySpace. So that was in high school. I was already really into Zanga, blogging on Zanga, and then like MySpacing in high school, and really taking care of my personal brand image on all of those platforms.
That's crazy, like MySpace. I guess a lot of people don't even know about that anymore. So we had a pre-ramp conversation. What I really loved all the stories that you have told in the last conversation we had. So, and I remember a few things very vital. So, you didn't just go into this, like, it wasn't like your plan to do all those things you're doing right now, right? So tell me, what did you start off with? What was the thing you actually went out? What was your path?
So I had no idea what I wanted to do as a career. As a matter of fact, when I got started, social media management was not even a real job title. So really, I kind of just went with the flow, and I started out wanting to make a lot of money, right? That was kind of like what the idea was, like the general idea when I started, building my career. I was like, oh, I need a job that pays me like 6 figures a year so I can take vacations in Hawaii. That was like my American, mindset of let's go climb the corporate ladder. So that's what I tried to do right after college. And I realized that made me miserable, and I didn't want to go vacation in Hawaii and, drive a Mercedes and, have a new Louis Vuitton purse every month. That was just that was kind of the vision that was sold to me, what success looked like, living in a consumerist American society. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that I wanted to travel abroad, and I wanted to work abroad internationally, and I wanted to live in Barcelona. I had a very clear vision of me living next to the Mediterranean Sea on the beach in Barcelona somewhere. And that was kind of my goal for many years. After I visited Spain in college, my second year of college, I did, a study abroad trip, and I fell in love with Europe and just living in Barcelona. So when I was 18, 19, I already developed this vision of me living somehow abroad. I didn't know how I was going to make it happen, but eventually, I did everything that my parents wanted me to do, and it made me miserable. So when I was 25, I finally said, you know what, I quit. I'm quitting life in America, and I'm just going to, move to Barcelona and figure it out when I get there. So I just took the risk of believing in myself and my dream, and packed everything up, sold my car, and decided that I'm going to figure out how I'm going to make money and live abroad and make my dream come true.
What did your parents say when you just confronted them with the news that you're moving to Barcelona?
I think at this point, because at the point that I moved to Barcelona, which was like right after I turned 25. So it was like the summer. I remember it so clear. It was like June 2010 or 2011. And I was like, I need to get out of here because I'm so depressed. I was getting so depressed, like just driving to work, sitting in 405 traffic. If you're from LA, you know what I'm talking about. It's like the worst feeling in the world when you're a young 24, 25-year-old and you're just like trapped in your car trying to like drive to work. I was just like crying and sobbing. Like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not supposed to be stuck in this traffic. I'm supposed to be like in Barcelona, like having fun, siesta and fiesta. And like, this is not like, my life is not going in the right direction. This is not what I had envisioned for myself.
Okay.
And so I think like my mom understood how unhappy I was doing, you know, this corporate life. And, you know, I started like, you know, I got myself intentionally fired somehow. And I just started, you know, really kind of getting off track of what, you know, my parents had wanted for me. And I think I just told my mom, like, listen, I want to try living in Europe. I'm going to figure out how to make it work. I'm going to apply, you know, to school, maybe do my master's there. And I just know that I don't want to live here anymore. And my dream is to live, you know, abroad. And so she actually really supported me because I did it her way my whole life, right? I did it her way. My mom, she immigrated. She's a single mom. She immigrated to the US from Taiwan. And they just want the best for you. They want you to be a doctor, lawyer, or accountant and want you to have a successful life, you know, with a 401k, health benefits. And I just kind of threw all that away. And because I had envisioned something different. So she just said, listen, I'm going to support you. Like, I'm going to help you get by your one-way flight. So she actually helped me. She's like, this is my gift to you. Like, if you want to go do this Barcelona thing, like I'm going to buy you a one-way flight. So my mom, 100,000%, like finally, like I feel a lot of my life in the beginning, I was like always rebelling against her, you know, like fighting against her and what her wishes were. But in the end, when I told her, this is what I really want to do, she supported me 1,000%. She helped me sell my car. I had like, you know, my grandma's old Acura Legend, I was driving, and so she helped me sell the car. So she, you know, and bought me, you know, as a gift, the one-way flight and said, you know, good luck. If you know, the worst thing that I knew that would happen to me is like, oh, I'd have to like move back to California, move back into my mom's house, which is like not the worst thing in the world, but it is kind of the worst thing in the world. So yeah, I think basically when I told her, she wasn't shocked, because she knew that was what I had always wanted. And when I told my friends, they were like, oh, finally, like you're going to go, you know, try it out, like pursue your dreams, like do what you always wanted to do.
So I usually don't talk much about the past of my guests, but in your case, it's really, I think it's really incredible because you did something that a lot of us don't, which is actually just stepping out of your comfort zone. I guess, I mean, you are super successful with what you do, but it's also super unique. Like there wasn't anyone doing what you have done really on a big scale, like you do it now. So what's like one thing, one secret that helped you actually to get out of your comfort zone?
I'd like to think, you know, I'm a big risk taker and I'm brave and courageous. And the fact is that I wasn't, you know, I took a bet on myself. That was like the biggest risk I ever took. But to have like courage to put yourself outside your comfort zone actually is a very slow process. It doesn't happen overnight. Like I didn't just like suddenly get the courage to leave LA and like start new. It happened slowly over time. It took me many years to like be comfortable, with the idea that I might not be comfortable for some years. And actually those first years when I moved to Barcelona and I literally was living off of 600 euros a month, like I rented like a shoebox apartment. It cost me 300 euros with all the utilities. I couldn't even afford like internet to use Wi-Fi. So I would like use free Wi-Fi, in all of the cafes. So I just like had a really, humble start when I decided to, start this new life, this new dream life I had envisioned for myself. It was not comfortable. Like I didn't have a paycheck. I didn't know when money was going to be coming in. So that actually, I tell you with the truth, with total transparency, as those were the most exciting times of my life. Like not knowing, I had no idea what was going to happen in my future. I had no idea how I was going to get work, how I was going to get a visa. It was really exciting, right? I remember like we would go, to go have drinks, and I would literally buy a jarra of beer, like a pitcher of beer, because it was like cheaper than buying water, in Spain. Like alcohol, beer and wine is so cheap compared to, soda or water. So I would just, I was like really trying to like be frugal and use my money wisely, because I really wasn't getting paid much. And, the salaries and budgets are a lot lower in Spain. And so, I was able to get by. I was kind of like just surviving for the first couple of years, right? Because I didn't have a visa, so I couldn't get a real steady job. And that's how I started freelancing, because I needed a hustle. I needed to get, any kind of work. So I was like, oh, I'm suddenly a web designer. Oh, I can do copywriting. Oh, I can, get your coffee. Like, just give me any job. I will design your logo. So I started doing a bunch of like, just random things that I knew how to do on my computer. I definitely wasn't the best. But I tried really hard. I literally needed to make ends meet. So I would do web design. I would do logo design. I would, eventually I figured out that people were hiring me to make their social media posts, like write content for their social media and build their Instagram. And I was like, holy shit, like people are going to pay me to like post on Instagram. Like that's so easy for me. Right? Because I was like posting all day long just for fun. And I was like, oh, and now I get paid to do this. So it took a lot of time just to be comfortable in knowing that it's going to work out if you want it bad enough, because you will find a way. And so that courage and that bravery comes through the everyday, like building it up little by little. And every day you're just, you do a little bit to survive, you're making it. And like, even though it's so uncomfortable because you literally don't know what the future holds, those times is what really builds your character, so that you can have a growth mindset and believe in yourself that you can make things happen for you. And that, to every entrepreneur, to every person that wants to do their own business, you must have undeniable self-belief in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. And this is one of the things that I wish I knew earlier on, is that, well, I could have like moved to Europe, way earlier, when I was like maybe 18, when I left, I could have left my house when I was 18, as most Americans do, but I had to go to college. I had to like do, things my family wanted me to do, even though I knew the moment when I was like 18 and I wrote this email to my family, like, wow, I really love it here. And I don't want to come back, right? I don't want to come back home. But I didn't have enough courage then. I didn't have enough confidence or maybe even belief in myself and education to know how I was going to make ends meet as an 18-year-old living abroad, not speaking any languages at that point, except English, like how I was going to, do it. But to answer your question, to become like brave and courageous, it's a daily practice of believing in yourself and doing the things that you say you're going to do. So practicing that integrity with yourself is super important. Like having integrity for yourself and doing the things that you say you're going to do. That's how it starts. That's how you can start really building courage and more bravery and take bigger risks because you believe in yourself so much.
You said a lot of amazing things. One thing that stuck with me right now is you didn't know what the future holds. What's your idea about the future now? What's the idea of Dot in, let's just say, 3 years? And what's your idea of social media in 3 years, right? You're the expert here. Where's this all going?
Wow. Well, those are two different questions. So one is, what does the future hold for me personally, like what I see for the future? And then one is, what is the future of social media? Is that correct?
Let's start with you. What's your future? Where are you going? What's your drive? What do you want to build? What do you want to do? I know you travel a lot. You love food. Yeah.
So currently what I'm building right now is something called Creator Camp in Barcelona. And this is how I'm going to be using my investment property that I just purchased last year in Barceloneta Beach. So it's literally 2 blocks from the beach. And this is, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, like super small little loft right in the middle of the plaza of Barcelona, because this was where I started my career and where I want to give back to early stage creators, people that are just starting out in freelancing and social media. And this is a space I literally made like one Instagram reel about how I'm creating, Casa Dragon. It's a home for creators. And I had literally 2 of the biggest brands reach out to me about how they want to sponsor this creator camp, and they want to sponsor, this whole Casa Dragon idea that I just, imagined, because I wanted to just have a place where I can welcome, other people from around the world that are traveling, that are making content, that, also work in, digital marketing, like to have a home base for them, and that a place where they can create content and create videos. And this was my dream, right? This was just something that I dreamed up, because ultimately my goal is to have 4 different locations, homes all over the world where I can travel to in different seasons. So, I can go to LA. I go to LA. My family's from Los Angeles. So, we have a house in Orange County that I can go spend time with my family, in the winters. And then in the spring, I'm usually in Barcelona for, business and life and work. And then I travel a lot right now from Barcelona to Tel Aviv, because my life partner is from Israel. So I've been spending a lot of time in Tel Aviv, and Tel Aviv's wonderful to really, have a different vibe. So just being able to be on 3 continents had always been a vision of mine, that I wanted to, be a global citizen and live in different parts of the world. And it's something that I'm actively pursuing and achieving, and, really eating my way. I have a hashtag that's called Eat with Dot. It's all about where I'm going to eat on my travels, where I'm traveling to, and where I'm eating, right? Because I think you can learn so much from cuisine and food and the local history of the people. So it's been a pretty wild ride. And so in the future, I think I really want to be able to build community in, these three locations, which is California, Southern California, Barcelona, and then also in Tel Aviv. All very sunny, warm cities. There's something in common with all of them, which is the beach. I grew up in Palos Verdes, so it's very close to the sea. It's, we lived on a peninsula. So I noticed that there's a pattern in the places that I like to go and I like to live, which are all very similar to the subtropical Mediterranean climate that I grew up in. It always has to have a beach, the sea, you can go up to the mountains very easily, but, you have that SoCal, Californian, Barcelonan, Tel Avivian pizzazz, or I don't know if that's the right word, but it has like that vibe of, everything's super carefree, everything's sababa, tranquilo, everything's okay, right? Like it's kind of the mindset of like how I'm actively cruising through life and enjoying all of these different places. And what's really amazing is that I had no idea how I was going to build a location independent business. And it just happened organically on its own because I had a vision of me like traveling the world and like living in different places. So the only way that I could, for my business to be successful is that it was online. And that was just, a whole business journey in itself, to creating my identity of, the mother of social dragons, and this persona that is totally invented, right? I totally created, the mother of social dragons and the strategy, and it was totally made up, but it was something that we needed to make so that, I could have a following, a brand, a community. So that didn't happen overnight either. It took me like 8 years to finally post a selfie of myself because I, was so embarrassed to be in front of the camera. Now It's like my full-time job. I need to do these podcast interviews and like show up on stage and like, be on stories all the time. And that's kind of, especially in the beginning of building it, that's kind of was my life, right? Like really building a personal brand and creating my Instagram account. So I invested a lot of time in that, and it's really paid off exponentially. Like it's really the moment that I started showing my face on the internet, which was the scariest thing ever. I was a person that was managing corporate accounts, like branded accounts. I was a person behind the camera. But the moment that I started showing my face, that's when everything changed. Like I started getting more invitations to travel the world and go eat in amazing places all over, in every continent. It's been pretty insane. I've traveled and worked in over 38 different countries. Speaking, getting invited to different conferences and doing workshops all around the world. And that's because I started showing my face and, educating people on my strategies and what I do via Instagram and sometimes on LinkedIn. I'm, not so active as much on LinkedIn, but I know it's one of the most powerful platforms. So when you ask about, well, what's the future of social media? I think more and more people are going to be able to utilize and understand how powerful these platforms are for you to connect with your tribe, your people, your customers, your community. So this is the power of social media, that it can really make any dream come true. At least it has for me. So I'm a true believer, right? I'm a true believer in all Zuckerberg products. I think they're all, their one mission is to connect the world. Like, how can you not love that? I love his products, not his, I mean his, I love Meta, everyone that works at Meta, they're one of my clients, and I love all of the culture at Meta. I love what they're doing. I love how they, ship fast and break shit. I'm just like a huge supporter of, the Facebook platform, because it was the first platform of how I was able to really get noticed and expand my career. And then Instagram product, which is one of the most visually stimulating and exciting places to be, at least for me, when I got started. Now people are, switching over to TikTok, and they're, on Threads, and these new platforms, which, frankly, I know I'm getting too old for this shit, right? Like, I know that I am getting too old, like, to keep up with all of these things. I used to do interviews. I used to do like interviews and I was like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's happening on all the platforms. And now my philosophy is like, stick to the platform that you know and you like and you enjoy using, and your community is there. Like, there's no point for you to go, oh yeah, I'm going to like go start a new LinkedIn or become a LinkedIner person if that's not where your people are. I know my people are on Instagram because I love being with creatives, designers, artists, and they're on Instagram. That's where I hang out. That's where I jam. It's like, do you go to Starbucks or do you go to, Coffee Bean? You go to the place that has your cup of coffee, your cup of tea. And that's kind of like social media. All of these different mediums, like, are different social circles and different types of communities. So you go where your people are. And yeah, the future of social, I think it's going to be, a lot more one-to-one. Okay. I think we started out social media as like one-to-many, like, hey, let's broadcast and tell everyone what we're doing. And, like, let's get millions and millions of followers. I think that was, social media era one, right? Like the first era of social media. Let's get tons and tons of followers. But what I really, really see now is the strongest communities are private. They are not, it's not about, the masses. It's all about quality and relevance. So you really need to have, at least for me, what's important is high quality people around me, right? So that's kind of what's more important is not having, 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, but like, having 1,000 of, the top people, around you. I think that's much more powerful than, having millions. I mean, it depends what business you are in, right? But in my business, in the business of like influence and entrepreneurship, like, you don't need to have 1 million followers, right? You just need to have, the selected, curated, high quality community. And so I'm seeing a lot more use of close friends. Like on Instagram, there's like close friends. There's also subscription. I think we're moving more into like a closed community. And that's great because that means we have deeper connections and more closeness. We can feel more close to the people that we want to connect with. And at the end of the day, as business people and, as social media people, our business is connection. We are in the business of building relationships. And that's what I'm here for. That's why I'm on this podcast, like we're building a relationship. We may or may not do business together, but we're building this relationship to see how we can grow together and how we can support each other. And that's kind of, the community that I'm building and the people that I want, to be part of my Social Dragons community. So that I can be successful and give more and teach more and help more businesses, and they can do the same. And I can support. It's an ecosystem, and that's the power of social media: is finding the right people to be in your ecosystem.
I love the idea. Like it's from moving, like the whole thing is moving from one-to-one to one-to-many. From one-to-many to one-to-one. That's actually a really nice picture. I think that really sums it up very nicely. One question, because I work with a lot of freelancers, but also like high-level executives. And it's always the same issue they have. I tell them, you got to get on social media. You got to show yourself. At least write some text. Now, the one thing they always struggle with is actually getting on camera. And you said you had the same problem. So, like, how did you overcome that obstacle?
Yeah, it truly is one of the biggest struggles. And the number one tip that I can give, and excuse my French here, but it's something called hashtag DGAF. Hashtag don't give a fuck, right? DGAF. And this has been the mindset that we're all creative. We suffer from perfectionism, and perfectionism is just another word for insecurity. So I didn't know how insecure I was until I needed to appear on camera. And you can even take a look at my videos. I always had to have like all my makeup on, my eyeliner, my hair had to be perfect, because I was just so insecure that people were going to think, that I'm not pretty, or I don't look good. I'm not, and at the end of the day, what I teach, in my Dragons formulas, the A is for authenticity, right? Like, the more authentic you are, the more people will actually listen to you, will gravitate to you, the more they will, have things feel like they have resonance and relevance with you. And when I started practicing more and more, like, DGAF is like, it means like, don't be afraid to just be yourself. Right? Because a lot of us are really insecure, and we feel like, we have to be a certain way, and we have to act like this and do this so that we can seem like, make appearances. And the way that social media works is like, you can't fake it till you make it. Because if you fake it till you make it, you will attract fake followers and the wrong type of people following you. If you really want a true gung-ho community, the only way you can do that is to be true to yourself, to be authentic, to be you, because that's how you're going to attract the right people, the real people, is if you are real. So what I started to do is, like, you can see my videos, I started, slowly, even in this podcast, I didn't put any makeup on this morning. I just wanted to, like, show up as my true authentic self. And yes, of course I love to, dress well and look good in business meetings. I have a front, I have a, public figure that I have to, present professionally. And I do that. And that's, important for me. That's part of my brand. Right. But you also have to, show a layer of, like, who you truly are. And that's also important, right? Because we're not all perfect. And I think when we're able to let go of that, let go of our perfection monster, let go of, what if they think, all of these insecurities, these, like, messed up things that we think in our head, like, I'm not good enough, or, all your imposter syndrome, and, like, people are going to laugh at me, like, what if I don't get that many likes? All of these things, like, you suffer from it. I suffer from it. But the successful people, they do it and then they keep on doing it. Even with all of that doubt, even with doubting themselves. And I do it too. I just, like, made a post and it totally flopped, right? I got, like, 10 likes. It was, and I was, like, I, like, felt bad about myself. I'm like, no, like, this is stupid. Why are you letting, like, likes define how amazing and awesome you are, right? You're amazing and awesome if you can have a total flop and you keep on going, because that's how you make a successful social media account, is that you need to keep on going, even if you have the flops. So, yeah. And so appearing on camera, I'll tell you how I overcame my fear and I started out using a lot of filters, right? I remember, I think it was like the era of Snapchat. So these like AR filters were, like, getting really popular. And so I started, like, doing some very short videos, like using the filters and just like getting comfortable with my own face. Because I don't know about you, but I hate the way I sound. I hate the way I look. We're like very self-critical of ourselves. But it's really just like getting used to, you have to like get used to looking at yourself on camera, get used to hearing yourself and how you sound. And as you like get used to it, as you create more, as you do more, it becomes a little bit more comfortable. Like you get a little bit more in your comfort zone. So I started using these filters, like talking and like, with these filters, because the filters, I feel like it was still a top layer. So, people couldn't really see all of my freckles and like my wrinkles, whatever, things that you're only insecure about yourself. No one else actually sees this shit. So I started like using filters. And then what actually happened is that I had, in 2019, I moved to Tel Aviv, and I hadn't really gotten much into video, but I had worked on my first course with Domestika, my Instagram strategy for business course. So that was the first time I literally sat in the camera for 5 days talking to a camera. And I was like, holy shit, like I'm a goddamn professional. I fucking know what I'm talking about. And I did it all on camera, and I couldn't even believe myself, right? So that was a practice in itself, just like filming yourself talking about what you do and how you do it, filming a course, like that really helped me get more comfortable talking to the camera. And what I learned is that people love it when you talk to the camera like you're talking to your best friend, like I'm talking to Marco right now, right? Like there's this type of intimacy and realness that's why people love looking at your stories. That's why people love it when you show up on camera, because there's this affinity, and it's so raw and real because you're just you talking to your best friend. And that was a trick that really helped me figure out what is my tone of voice, what is my style of talking, because I needed to, just talk like I'm talking to my best friend in the world. And that made people feel closer to me and understand me more and hear what I'm saying. And it that was something that helped me. And then the other thing that really helped me was when I moved to Tel Aviv, I had this whole marketing plan of like how I'm going to launch my brand in Israel. And I had literally an amazing event called Social Media Mondays, where we meet every Monday, every month at Meta Playground. It was called Facebook Playground then, which is, this amazing space they let me use because I would be interviewing, the top people in digital marketing, the top people in branding, and we would have a fireside chat. And it was this awesome event. I invited all of the, amazing digital marketing people to this event. People were so stoked about it. And then COVID happened, right? And then COVID, everything started shutting down. My event got canceled, and I was like, oh my God, my plans are ruined. I am never gonna be able to get any business in this new country. I'm fucked. And what actually ended up happening, I moved the event online. So I started doing Social Media Mondays on Instagram Live during COVID. Every Monday I would interview someone on Mondays live. And when you are live on video, there is no room but to be yourself. You have to really get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So try recording yourself on video for hours talking about yourself and what you do and how you help people. Try just degaffing, and then try doing it live. Because when you are live on camera, there's no more thrilling, nervous, exciting feeling, right? Everyone's, even if it's just one person watching you, it's kind of this really adrenaline rushing feeling that there's all these people you don't even know that are watching you on camera, and it's kind of weird. And I was, of course, very, very nervous. But as I practiced every week, I practiced live with one guest. I got better and better, and I got so good at it that people were like, wow, Dot, you're really like natural on camera, which I thought was hilarious because it was like literally the scariest thing ever for me to do. And people started inviting me to their lives. They started like inviting me to like do these live videos and live conferences. Because they're like, oh, you're a natural. And I'm like, that's hilarious because I literally just practice every week and like almost faked my way to it. But it's more about allowing myself to mess up. I allowed myself to like, not be perfect because I knew it wasn't going to be perfect. Sometimes, the internet crashed and you have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable situations. And that's how you can get better at video, is just putting yourself out there on live. It's fucking scary. But that's how I was able to do it. Just taking the risk and allowing yourself to mess up and look stupid, because you're never going to get better at something if you don't practice it and, look stupid at first. And this is the same thing with your social media. Like, you're not going to have the perfect Instagram post. If you're just starting out, it's not going to be perfect. Like, I keep all of my history on Instagram so people can see like how I started, which was absolute shit, right? And then it gets better and better and better. Like, you only get better with practice, and you only get better by allowing yourself to make mistakes.
I love what you just said is that it's actually about the practice. Yes, we know that, but what you said, like what's different here is, like you said, you actually practice this live, right? There's a difference between practicing on like in a safe space, when you record it, you delete it, but you just went out, right? You're full in, like all in. You just did the lives every Monday. How long are you still doing this, or how long did it go for?
Yeah, so I was doing it for quite some time. For sure, like, I think it was for sure 6 to 12 months. I was just during COVID, like lockdown, I had nothing else better to do. Right. And so I have like this Marketing Monday program inside my subscription. So if you subscribe now to my Instagram channel, it's like $4.99 a month. And then I will go live every Monday now. So we talk about social media marketing tips, freelancing, entrepreneurship, just whatever the community wants to, chat and learn about. And I used to basically do that for free, on my Instagram live channel, just with my friends, right? Because I want to help them launch their books. I want to help them launch their courses, and I'll do it sometimes randomly, but honestly, this past year I've been really laying low because I'm building out some new content and I'm building out a new course. So I'm just laying low on all of the live stuff currently, but you'll see me as soon as I'm launching a new product, like a course or a program or whatever I decide to do in the future. Like, I'm going to be on there live. Probably with you, Marco. I'll be live with you. I'll be live, with Joel. I'll be live with, all the regular, usual suspects. And yeah, I really didn't enjoy it at first. I hated it. Actually, I was doing it every week, and every week I'm like, oh, why am I doing this to myself? Like, this is so painful. Like, but it was like going to the gym. It was like, oh, I hate going to the gym, but you feel good after it because you get in the practice. You get in the,
And I remember like my first time as your first time in front of the camera was actually my Domestika course too. That was like, and it's like, I think you had the same experience. Like, it's a few days, right? You shoot for a whole week. The first day was terrible. Like, I was so like stiff and frightened, and they came with the makeup, and I double checked everything. It was like, I was so stiff. Towards the end, it was really enjoyable, and I would have loved to continue doing this. But it's like, you need something like this, right? You need something like, as you said, like maybe the Instagram live, maybe just getting out in your safe community, just practice by actually doing it. I really love that you talked about this. You just said you're preparing a new course. What's that all about?
So I've created 2 courses now with Domestika. The first one was Instagram strategy for business growth. The second course was personal brand strategy for social media. And this third course is actually all about how to become an Instagrammer. So it's really about influencer marketing and how you can monetize your social media account. So I'm going to really dive into some of the brand campaigns that I've worked on, the ones that I've worked in negotiating for influencers, and how we charge $30,000 for a reel. And these are the things that I want to show, that Instagram influence and social media marketing is a serious business, and this is how you do it like a dragon.
Nice. When is it coming out? I want it. I'm going to buy it.
It's going to be, we're actually in the early stages. We haven't filmed it yet. We're probably going to film it in late September, maybe October. So then it needs to go to the editing room. So I think it maybe will be out by the end of the year, if not for sure, early January 2024. But it's all of it's basically the business that I'm in right now, which is supporting influencers with influencer campaigns and supporting brands with influencers. So I'm working a lot now in the influencer marketing and affiliate marketing space, running different campaigns for, Adobe, Notion, Bloom.io, which I know which you know about. So just different types of tech SaaS products, and working with the top tier influencers on building the campaign strategy and the content. So it's been a lot of fun, and I get to show some of the projects that we're doing. And yeah, that's the third course. The third course is how you can take everything you learn from course number 1, course number 2, and then start monetizing it in course number 3, which is, what everyone wants to know.
So I watched all your stuff. I love it. And the reason I love it is because it's not just top level service stuff. It really goes deep, and you don't seem to hold back with anything you do. As in this podcast, I really think I have the feeling I should pay you for this conversation. And I'm really excited about this new course coming out, and like how you monetize Instagram. Probably has some notions for other platforms too, or at least the general idea how you can do this. So I'm really excited about that. Dot, it was a pleasure. I want to be really respectful of your time. I know you have a lot to do, a lot on your table. That was an amazing talk today. Thanks for all your insights, all the stuff you've shared. One more question. What's a message, like one message you want to leave the audience with?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'm going to leave you with this, because yesterday I was with a friend and it just, this is what's on my mind right now. And I think it goes something like, be good, do good, and feel good. Like, do good, be good, feel good. And the rest will come. So I think that's truly, the path. Yeah. Be good, do good, and feel good.
Be good, do good, feel good, and the rest will come. I love it. Thanks so much for your time. And I hope to have you on the podcast someday soon again. Till then.
Yes.
Have a great day.
I hope so. Thank you for having me. And I'm so excited for your community to hear this podcast. And if anyone wants to connect with me, I'm always available on Instagram at @Lung.
@Lung on Instagram. Thanks, Dot. I'll put the post below this video. It's going to be in the comments, and it's going to be on the website too. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Marco Pfann, and I hope to see you all again on our next show, where we unfold creative business minds.